Okay, we're back. This is the lesson on the Greek verb. Of course, a verb, we all know, is a word that gives action or state of being. Now, verbs have what we call a mood. A verb may be telling you a fact, or it could be telling you a possibility. Let's see, a fact would be like, John is tall, or John hit the ball. A possibility would be John may hit the ball. A wish would be another thing that a verb mood could give you, and that would be I want John to hit the ball. I wish John would hit the ball. And of course then there's the fourth mood, which is command. And command is like, John, hit the ball. So anyway, we have the fact mode is what we call the indicative mode. Let me put these up on the board. Greek verbs, moods. The moods, first one is indicative. Indicative. And this is what we call the fact. And that's the I. The morphology uses the word letter I. It's like John hit the ball. Just a fact. Second one was subjunctive. Which is a possibility. Anyway, and that would be like John may hit the ball. And then we have the optative, which is the third mood. Which is a wish or desire. I hope John hits the ball, or I want John to hit the ball. The last one is what we call the imperative, and we give that an M. And we already used the I before, so we can't use that. And so generally, the industry uses the letter M for this morphology, and that's the imperative. And that is a command. So let's think a little bit more about that. We have, if we have a scripture that tells you you must be born again, it's probably a command. Or if it says that Paul went to Ephesus, then that would be the indicative. So when we come out of a Greek verb, we'll know what the action is of the Greek verb, but we'll also know the mood of that verb, so how it is going to be translated into English. And so what we'll do is we'll figure out what the meaning is, then we'll have to doctor the verb to where it will express the mood. So you may have to add extra words, helping words, like wants to or something like that for the desire, the optative. For the subjunctive, you may have to add the word might. He might hit the ball, or may hit the ball. So we will doctor the verb with the extra helping verb words until it will reflect the mood. Okay, we've got the first part. We got the moods. I wanted to get to those because that is very important when you're in a translating position where you got to learn what's going on in the verse. You got to find out what mood it's in. Indicative, it's fact. Subjunctive, it's a possibility. Optative, it's a wish or desire. Imperative, it's a command. But let's get to the tense. The tense is just as important. We have future tense and present tense, just like in the English. But when we get to the past tense, we better learn the ones that come with the Greek, even though they're not used all that much. Usually you'll find the a, which is the aorist. That's a Greek tense that we don't have in the English, but it is the one that is used most. It's just, usually we use it in a sense that it is in the immediate past. John kicked the ball. Well, he's not doing it right now. It's done. But you just recorded it. He just did it. You watched it. You said he kicked the ball. The imperfect would be, which is also past, but it's a past action that is continuing. It would be like Christ redeemed his saints. Well, he did it once and for all, but it's continued. It's continued. The redeeming goes on. If you come to Christ tomorrow, it'll still work. Perfect is past to now. And so in other words, it's a past action that has continued until now, and that's all we're accounting for. Pluperfect is a past action that was done at the time of the action. All right, like I said, we don't use those much, but if you have to, you'll have your book, chapter 7. And by the way, all of this is on verbs is in chapter 7. And so we're going to, and I'm going to teach you the morphology, how it's all spelled out at the end of just teaching you what these different things are. So you hold on. Voice. Voice is important. The voice, if we're talking active voice, then what we're saying is John kicked the ball. You see that the subject is doing its work on the direct object. In case it's a passive, then it turns it around. In other words, the ball, which would be the subject, was kicked by John. So we added the word by in there with the verb to indicate that it was something that was done in reverse. It's the direct object working on the subject. And then we have the middle voice, which is the subject working on itself with whatever verb there is. Like if I say John believed, that's the middle voice. John believed. He got something inside of him from that action. Or you could say John learned, or something like that. But anyway, so that's the middle voice. You'll see that pop up. In the verb also we have to have first, second, third person, singular, 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 or plural, plural, plural. We'll tack that on to the verb morphology because it's very important to know how to form the verb. First, second, third person, singular, simple enough. We would, when we're forming the verb, what I ask my students to do is when they write the verb in there, start with an understood subject of a first person singular, I, first person plural, we, second person singular would be you, maybe the second person plural would be y'all, I don't know. Third person singular would be he or she or it, in case it might be an inanimate object. Third person plural would be they. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is in parentheses, put that out in front of your translation of that word. Because if you don't do that, you won't know how to translate the word many times. They were late. I am late. He is late. You see, each of these different personal pronouns being used would reflect a little different way to make the verb. So I have that. When you see those, the first thing you do in translating is put that little understood subject out in front of it. All right, let's move on, and I'm going to take this back to. We're going to have to. A lot of this, I hope you've been writing some of this down, right there on your. Actually, you can see a lot of this on your card that I sent with the book. But let me take it off here, and we'll start learning how to do the morphology codes. All right. When you get to a word and you see the morphology code, it will either have like an N for a noun or a V for a verb. When it has a V for a verb, it'll have a dash afterwards, and then it'll start with the tense. It might be an aorist, A. It might be an indicative, which would be the mood. And then thirdly, it would go on to the voice. Is it middle voice? Let's put an M in there for a middle voice. So you see, you'll find it in that order. Then off to the right, you'll find the person. All right, so we have the fact that it's a verb, then we have that it's an aorist, it'll give you the tense, then the mood, and then the voice, and then the subject who is saying this. All right, so you'll have to, as we go and start translating, you'll get very used to drawing all that information and putting it on your paper. So when we get there, we'll do that. All right, I'm not going to go any further into that. There's a lot of this course you will learn while we're translating. A lot of what we're doing here is just laying the groundwork, that there is all of this involved in the morphology. Thank you.